me why it's so such a game changer, why it's such an awesome thing, an outstanding thing for boxing. Now think about this: boxing is run by promoters, boxing is run by managers. Boxing came into existence, yeah, because fighters started scrapping out with each other, but it was people who actually controlled the game, the elite, the aristocracy that brought it to prominence and made it legal. But in this case, the person who is making boxing, at least Legends, only legal, and it's not just limited to boxing, obviously, it's any kind of sport, and it's for older people, it's for the veterans, right? The legends. Who's making that legal? Who's making that, making that something big? Mike Tyson. Guess what he is? He's a boxer. Boxing never really initiated and became legalized or became some sort of brand through boxers. Even in UFC, the UFC is driven by someone who's not even a fighter. What better way to usher in a sport and usher in a trademark, a brand, a tournament, but through the players themselves initiating it? And this is what Mike Tyson is doing. Mike Tyson is not just becoming a player, he's forming his own niche where older sportsmen can enter into sports. Mike Tyson himself being a boxer, and as an athlete who wants to continue on and wants, has the drive to make their mark in the world, to inspire and excite people, Mike Tyson tapped into something that nobody else thought about. Legends only, where the great, the best, the old guys who everybody count out, who everybody's moved from the game because they said they're too old or they've overlived their shelf life, but in fact, they still got a lot more to give. Mike Tyson has Legends only for that. I love it. I love it. And when he was talking about his brand and talking about his excitement and his passion now for the sport and that he's going to continue on, just like how I advocated, that he wants a rematch with Roy Jones Jr. Like he wants to face Evander Holyfield. He wants to face anybody who wants to enter that square circle with him and duke it out in an exhibition tournament for charity. Mike Tyson wants to do it. I love it. I love his spirit. He's a totally different animal. I rewatched Roy Jones Jr. versus Mike Tyson, and some of you guys said Mike Tyson won that fight. I could see it. I could see that he won the fight. I saw Mike Tyson doing his thing against Roy Jones Jr. The only problem was Roy was clinching him up, locking him up, and at certain points in time, Roy was just too slippery. But Mike Tyson was landing some really critical body shots, and Roy talked about it at the end of the fight. It reminded me of Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvelous Marvin Hagler, except it was a closer fight between much older guys. But Roy did his thing, man. He was on his toes, and I loved Roy. Roy stole the show for me because he was such a smaller guy than Mike Tyson, and coming all the way up from light, heavyweight, which is, he really is a light heavyweight. He's not a cruiserweight. He's not a heavyweight, and did his thing. It reminded me back in the day of one of the older fights, but the way how Roy moves around the ring is so much more beautiful than the person that I'm thinking of. It's a early 19. I think it's like in the early 1900s. I'm talking about. People know who I'm talking about. It's the guy that Roy emulated, the man who went all the way up. I think it's Philadelphia Jack O'Brien versus it wasn't the guy I was thinking about, but Philadelphia Jack O'Brien versus he was the heavyweight champ at the time, a small heavyweight champ like Mike Tyson. And Philadelphia Jack O'Brien also fought him to a draw, like how Roy fought Mike Tyson to a draw. It's really an epic thing that has happened, even though it's an exhibition fight. They say, I don't know. There could have been a winner. You could have given it to Mike. You could have given it to Roy. It depends on what you liked. But it ended up being a draw between two legends. I loved it. It was a great fight, and the whole entire card was spectacular that night. And I'm looking forward to more Legends Only. I'll pay for that. I'll tell you why. Because the fans deserve to be able to get guys who want to pair up and fight each other. And now we can see legends who never face each other being encouraged to come on these tournaments for charity and scrap it out. And I think it encouraged these older guys, even if you're in acting or whatever else, to just to express that side of you that you always wanted to express, but either you got discouraged out of boxing or whatever. And you being a legend, I would look forward to seeing Marvelous Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard too. If Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Leonard stays in shape. I know he doesn't really want to get hit in the head, But Roy also, shouldn't have been hit in the head. Let's just put it that way. But his skills, and then you guys being veterans and older guys, it might take you 2, 3 years. I could see Layla Ali versus what's her name? Ann Wolf. We finally could get to see that. If the two legends, I know Layla Ali stays in shape, and Ann Wolf, she's a trainer, but I'm sure she can get back in shape just to square off with Layla Ali. The fights that we never saw. Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. was a fight we never saw, and we got to see it. I mean, what kind of era are we in where we can get to see fights so many years after and know how these fights would have played out because we see the two styles and how they contrast each other and what would have happened if those two styles actually clash. I mean, it's just so exciting just talking about Legends Only because it opens the door for where people thought there were shut cases to certain things happening. I even heard my boy, what's his name? I heard my boy um Larry Holmes saying he would like to jump back in the mix. All of this stuff just sounds great because it's good. Riddick Bowe, I heard Riddick Bowe talking about jumping in the mix. Maybe we see Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis finally. These are things that they're just exhibition fights, but Lennox allowed to get himself back up into shape. But having a tournament like that, you don't play boxing, obviously. And if you're not committed to it 100%, you should never get into that square circle. But the one thing I can tell you is Legends Only can open up almost every week. You've seen your legends going up against each other, or every month. You have a pay-per-view where this big fight where the legends are squaring off with each other. That's huge, man. That's huge for boxing. And for those nostalgic people, boxing's got that for you. If your people with the present generation where it's really, how it is very competitive and it's like the top tier level, you got that too. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Mike Tyson's captured a niche that I think is just going to be huge. And the fact that, like I said it before, Legends Only is beginning with a boxer, and it's from a boxer's mind, changes everything. Because when you get sports initiated from a sportsman's mind, it's so much more richer. I think it's so much more fuller. And then the commentary team was just spectacular. You couldn't have a better commentary team. Even though Battle Jack didn't get that kid out of there, they didn't criticize Battle Jack. They didn't say, oh, he's not going for the finish. No. They were talking, it was semi-funny, semi-serious, and they were like, oh, I love it when they say that. Oh, we don't have commentators doing that anymore. It used to happen with Howard Cosell. He would say, oh, what a right hand. Jim Lampley used to say it too, but, you don't have people with the wow factor, with that. Somebody got to get Snoop Dogg on. I'm serious, man. Somebody got to get Snoop, you good for boxing, man. Somebody got to get Snoop up in there for some of those real fights. I'm serious, man. Snoop, you got a job in boxing, man. The way how you talk boxing, the way how you jazz it up, the way how you put that your foot in that shit. Oh man, your hand up in there, with love and care and that passion. Oh man, hey, somebody put Snoop up in there to comment, man. That man should be commenting on boxing, man. Smooth voice too. Love it. I mean, listen. Listen, y'all. Listen, y'all. I'm excited about boxing. You know that. I'm passionate about boxing. You know how it is. I don't watch every single boxing fight, but I am. And man, I love the card from start to finish. I love what Mike Tyson was doing. I love what Roy Jones Jr. did. But Mike, particularly being the architect behind this card and everything coming off. A lot of people say, oh, that fight never gonna come off. And it came off, y'all. It came off. And the winners was you. You, the fans, was the winners. You got to see Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. Now, don't be coming here sour. Oh, that was old man. What do you expect? But look how phenomenally in shape those old men was. Well, Roy was the one huffing and puffing. Look at that. Not Mike. Mike wasn't busting that sweat like that. Mike was in well-conditioned, well-oiled athlete, and was so precise with his shots, especially those body shots. Oh, my God. On the inside and the outside. Ugh, it was nasty. All right. Mike showed up, and he's only going to get better, folks. So Legends Only, baby. Roy Jones Jr. held his own, like I said he would. I don't know if Roy wants to go back in the ring and do that again, put himself through that. But Roy made it through to the final bell, baby. He pulled all the tricks out of the book. You know what I'm saying? Now we can see some of the fights y'all wanted. Y'all wanted Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya. Mayweather, man, Floyd, listen, Floyd, you got your countryman right here. You doing the things up in Japan. You got your countryman, Iron Mike Tyson, man. You should be. I mean, I don't know if they can pay you, but shit, you should do an exhibition for them with legends only. You should do, man. You should help up your boy Mike, man. That's your boy. I know Mike and you. I know y'all don't really go down like y'all hate each other and shit. It's money, man. Y'all gonna make it happen. You know, come on, man. Mayweather fighting on like Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya 2 or Mayweather versus Cotto 2. Oh snap. Legends only. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, man, these are things that the fans would like love to see because they always say, oh, Oscar beat Floyd. Okay, then let's have it again. Run it back. Run it back, baby. Or run a fight that nobody's, people say you was ducking. We have Winky Wright, Mayweather versus Winky Wright. Oh man, come on now. Come on now. Everybody would want to watch that. You know what I'm saying? We got Mayweather versus Sergey, what's his name? Sergio Martinez. Everybody want to see that. Everybody want to see that. Run it back. You know what I'm saying? Listen, man, it has so much potential with what Mike is doing. So much. And Floyd could come in the scene and blow it up to a whole other level. Whole other level of PP. But you gotta have an opponent. You can't just step up in there and face anybody. No. You gotta have an opponent up in there. But what I'm saying is, it would be something. You know what I mean? When Pacquiao retired, he got somewhere he can go. We could have Mayweather Pacquiao too, and legends only, but you got to retire Pacquiao, you know what I mean? Unless you want to stay fighting and still do it in an exhibition fight like that. I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying. The potential, man. Mike has something. Mike has a platform that I just believe would blow out just about any other platform out there. Let me give y'all a big. I don't know how Mike is going to advertise his platform, and he's doing his own thing. But man, I would. God damn, shit. You know what? I want Legends Only to become like the boxing Hall of Fame for boxers. You feel it's an honor to step up in Legends Only. Why? Because it's your peers. And it's a boxer that formed Legends Only. It wasn't no commission. It wasn't no rich people. It wasn't no people who was not in boxing that formed it and legalized. No, man. It was a boxer that formed that stuff. Mike is such a light to the world, man. I love Mike Tyson because y'all don't understand. Boxing is a very violent sport. No doubt about it. That's why you can't play it. Right? It's as honest as it comes. You prep because as well as you prep is as well as you will survive those punches that come at you. And well as you will do as well, supplying punches. It's a fair thing because it's a fair fight. And let me explain what I mean by that. Besides it being metaphorical, literally speaking, when people have issues, instead of picking up your gun and shooting someone like happened very recently where this guy committed suicide, killed out his whole family. At least you're going to pick up your two hands and you're going to do it honestly. If you know that other person is not powerful enough to go at you, you're not going to go at your wife. You ain't going to go at your children. Nah, you're going to lace them up. You're going to get out there. You're going to get in the gym. Okay, you can't find a gym. You will make a gym. And you will start punching that shit. You know what I'm saying? When boxing becomes a style, people ain't gonna look to beat other people up. They're gonna look to beat the bag up. Then they're gonna get in the ring, sign away for something, and they're gonna try and beat each other up. That's better. That's why I said boxing is one of the purest sports out there because the other guys got as good a chance as you, of hurting you as you hurting them. So it's a fair fight. Instead of beating up your wife or beating up your children or bullying somebody out there. Go in the ring and do it as a sport. Because once you start to beat into somebody and they start to beat into you, you ain't gonna have energy to beat nobody up at the end of the day because you're gonna be taking punishment just as you giving. It's fair. That's why I said, if you gotta do something violent, what the best thing in the world but boxing? And you teach yourself boxing not to go into street fights and behave. No, it's a discipline. You a soldier now. You going out to war. You prepare yourself for war, and there's a fear fight because the other guy just got just as much chance of hitting you as you hitting them. Now, of course, that's not absolutely true because it depends on your skill set and what you bring to the table. But at the end of the day, you're smart. You ring smarts. But at the end of the day, it's a fear fight. It's a fear fight. It's fear scrap. Now, not everybody's like that. Not everybody wants to fight. Me, I don't mind because I'm a little crazy myself. So I would love to do boxing because I have a little crazy streak in me, and I'm a creative guy as well. So it would make sense that I would want to get into boxing at some point in time, right? So for me, I train, I prepare, I do my thing, I get my cardio in, you know what I mean? We're gonna go take a bath, and then we're gonna go do a little bit more training, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, all right. At the end of the day, boxing is a sport that is a fear sport in the sense that I have just the same tool, the same hands as you do. I have the same feet as you do. I have the, I can make an opportunity just like you can, right? Whether I don't know what your skill set is, but you know what I'm saying? It's fear. I'm coming at you, and I know that you coming at me, and I know I'm coming at you, and I'm coming at you, right? So at the end of the day, that's what makes boxing fair. It's not an ambush. It's not I go behind your back. It's not I'm playing for you. It's not I ambushed you in terms of I came up on you and I robbed you of your money or something. No, that's why boxing for people who are involved in prisons or in crime or in something else, it can reform them because it's a discipline. And once a person can get to understand basic ethics and basic morals, you earn your keep in boxing. And you earn your keep because the consequences of cutting corners or doing things lackadaisical is you get punished in the ring for it at some point. So that's why boxing to me is the fairest sport and the most honest sport in the world. It's very violent, no doubt about it. You don't play boxing. That's why I'm not even trying to get in the ring in a hustle. I'm trying to set it up so I could get when I get in there, I'm ready at 45 years old, baby. 45 years old. I feel great. I got still some flaws. And I'm gonna confess it on the internet, right? My problem is that I still have an issue with delving into things I probably shouldn't, to keep myself pure. So I dehydrate. But other than that, man, boxing is the greatest thing in the world, man. You stay mentally, physically healthy, and you must be spiritually healthy as well. You can't have an evil mind going into boxing. That will just inhibit you, and you could get yourself badly hurt. You know what I mean? Anyways, man, people, what you need in the building when you guys see this video, think about it. Legends only. That opens up the door. We as fans, I mean, the opportunities in boxing now are remarkable. They're ridiculous. Ridiculous. You know what I mean? And I think also that maybe some outstanding boxers in boxing could jump into Legends only and face some of the older greats. The only thing is I don't like it too much because sometimes the conditioning and the amount of activity that that a boxer who's in boxing right now in their prime and everything is doing. I think sometimes you pull a legend out of there for so many years, but Mike Tyson did so great, 15 years. Mike Tyson said, "Y'all worry about Roy, you all wasn't worried about me and the punches I was taking." You know what I mean? He said he caught me with a left hook, man. It stunned me, man. The kid could buzz. You know what I'm saying? And that's true. We didn't think about Mike Tyson coming out of 15 years of not boxing. Got into shape within a year, 2 years, I think it's a year and a half, something like that. Got back into shape, and it's ridiculous shape. And he just wants to keep doing it. He wants to keep doing it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so inspirational. And no matter how much a habit or something in your life is kicking your ass, sorry about the cursing, but something's just giving you a beat down. You know, you can come out of that, man. We was talking about that in a prayer meeting yesterday. Nothing God can't do, man. So that's what I got for y'all. I'm what you need. I hope you guys have a great day. We might talk some more boxing. I might have you guys jump on. Legends Only was great. Of course, the boy got beat by Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce did an excellent job in that fight. Deserved the knockout victory. You know, I favored Joe Joyce actually to win that fight. I think I even put it in one of the group chats that I thought Joe Joyce was going to win, and he did, right? And I gave you all the reasons why I thought Roy would win. Um, he didn't win, he drew. But, this is why. Okay, so let me explain to you guys a couple things, right? Well, how I'm able to come to these conclusions, right? And it's real simple. First thing you got to do is know what the fighter does well. And you can do that just by watching them fight. But you must be able to identify exactly what it is that they do well. Another thing is having a kind of a boxer's eye, where at least you've tried or you've done some kind of boxing. Because if you haven't done anything with your hands, if you have not done anything in boxing, and then there are basic boxing rules you must understand, right? So once you understand those basic boxing rules, which is the fundamentals, now you can start looking for what are the fundamentals. I'm gonna show you the fundamentals of boxing. All right. One, you keep defense. All right. Your two hands should be up, blocking your chin. Protect your chin. This is the point in which it's a fulcrum. So if I get hit in my chin, my whole head could, jar, and that's what slams my brain to my skull, right? So the first thing in boxing you must learn is how to put your guard up, your defense. The next thing you need to have is defense again, but it also serves as offense. It's your stance, how you keep your feet. They usually say it's about you keep your feet as wide as your shoulders. Some people keep a stance a little wider. Some people keep a stance a little smaller. It depends. Okay. Sometimes you can have a small stance. Sometimes you can have a slightly wide stance. But at the end of the day, you got one foot in front of the other. Okay. All right. You kind of side on. Now, the next thing you have is you have to learn to move. Before you can even throw a punch, you must have balance and control. It's always about balance and control. All right. Balance and control. Learn that. Okay. Because that's what Roy was using. That's what made Mike Tyson, even though Mike Tyson's very good at what he does, don't get me wrong, Roy just brought some other things to the table that nobody sees. And that's why everybody was like, "Ooh!" People was like, "Look at Roy, make Roy do your thing, Roy." Because Roy will steal the show every time. You know. Salute and shout out to Roy Jones Jr., man. Roy. Ooh, my dude, my dude, my dude. So I could see why it was a draw because Roy did what he do. Tyson did what he do. I thought Tyson was landing the harder shots and he was actually landing the cleaner shots throughout the fight. So if y'all said that Tyson won, y'all would be sort of correct. But if you said Roy won, it's because not only was he elusive, but he was pot shotting from all kinds of weird angles and catching Mike Tyson. And he did catch Mike Tyson with some good shots. Besides the left hook, I saw him land Lee Wrights and throw off combinations on Mike Tyson's head, and I've seen him do some things, man. Roy is, it's Roy, man. Y'all must have forgot. I mean, come on now. It's Roy Jones Jr., ladies and gentlemen. All right, and he showed us. He showed us Roy. He showed us Roy in there. It was beautiful. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Roy Jones Jr., man. There's only one Roy Jones Jr. There ain't never gonna be another Roy Jones Jr. Y'all must have forgot. I told y'all that, but y'all didn't listen. So, and people say, "Oh, Mike gonna knock out Roy." I never saw that happening, but hey, Mike does hit hard. Mike does hit hard. But most of the guys who Mike knocked down is because they moving away from Mike and they jabbing, moving away and snapping back. And that's not enough. And Roy got the two guard and everything. He got so much stuff. He had so much stuff he does. And he really did well in terms of not staying directly in front of Mike Tyson. The key was to stay away from mid-range, stay outside or inside of Mike Tyson. And walk him back. And he is doing that. That's what Evander Holyfield did. Heads up to Mike Tyson. I showed you, brother, how to break that clinch. Learn how to break the clinches. And they are ways to break clinches. Please, sir, the one thing that will make you very, very special is learning how to break a clinch. So go study guys like Marcos Maidana. Study guys like Alexander Povetkin. Who's another guy who refused to allow a guy to clinch him. There are a couple guys, and the tricks have to do with how your body mechanics, how you drop down. It's about getting low and under the guy, and the guy will put his body weight on you, and then what you do is you swivel, you move your upper body, you bob down and then come up and across, and he might try to expand his arm to clinch, but you come in with a punch. Obviously, you ain't gonna just you can rock to the side even and you can rip it. You pivot off to the side, rip it, but that depends because the guy's weight might be down upon you. That's something that Vladimir Klitschko, a very strong guy. What you got to do, because he puts all his weight down on you, you got to go with his weight and then rotate under and around. You rotate under. It's a martial arts move. So yeah, I mean that's what we use all the time. You can't get out of a clinch this way. You can't. You have to open out. You have to open out. Okay, and push off, and open out. Those are two ways to get out of clinch. But you got to change levels. You got to change levels. I saw Mike go low, and I saw when Mike went low, I saw Roy go low. I was like, oh, them guys, man, they tactically they're so sick. You know what I mean? Both of them are just sick, man. Sick. When it comes to skill, I saw even Oscar De La Hoya when he was sparring Mario. What's his name? Mario Lopez, and the skill that Oscar still has. Oh my God, the skill. With some dedication behind that skill, Oscar still gives some of them young guns some problems because he gonna give you different looks and stuff. He not gonna have the punch resistance. hmm It's sad because when you get older, if you're not applying the craft, there's a lot of things you gotta, in training. Like you could tell Mike went through hell in training camp, you know, because man, Mike looks solid, man. He looks so solid. I was so impressed with the man. He older than Roy, and he was not the one puffing at the end of the fight, and he was ready to go again. And I've never seen that with Mike Tyson. He's even talking about, I'm not even starting to stop at nobody. I just want to go. I just want to go rounds, baby. I was like, wow, wow. Mike was outlasting Roy, and I was like, God damn. What I mean? I was very excited about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel so good for fighters like that because, especially Mike Tyson. Oh shit, Mike Tyson, man. I love how he was fainting Roy too. He'd feint him. So Roy, he wanted to see what Roy would do next first. So he feint him, and then he get into that beautiful black position. But the only thing, like I said before, is Mike Tyson needs to. He needs to. Um, he needs to know how to break a clinch. You need to know how to break a clinch. You know, his style is good. He can work with that style. Um, Povetkin also when he comes forward. They don't box backwards. Some fighters just don't box backwards, and Mike's style is that. But the thing with it is, for him to, there's another thing I would advise Mike. It, so instead of just standing up there with your two hands together, sidestep. Just sidestep. Sidestep on the pivot. Sidestep on the pivot. So you're never directly in front of the guy. Never stay still in front of your opponent. That's when they can go off on you. So sidestep. And he gonna add it into his game. He gonna add it into Mike gonna be better than he ever was when it's all said and done. If he keeps on doing these exhibitions, this sounds crazy, but he might end up in the pros going out after one of them heavyweights. I could see it happening now. He's got what it takes. But for him to do, and that would be history in the making. Whether he's 60 years old or whatever, when that opportunity comes, it's gonna be history in the making. But the thing about it is this, right? The thing about it is there are slight adjustments he has to make to his game to be able to be that fighter. I could actually see Mike, giving a guy like Tyson Fury some problems. I mean, some problems. He not gonna beat Tyson Fury, and I'm gonna tell you why. Tyson Fury, besides being so huge and so long and so tall, is the fact that Tyson Fury can do a lot of different things. And he's strong, and I mean very, very strong. Tyson Fury's like, Tyson Fury strong, like he's probably be 7, 8 times stronger than Mike Tyson is. I might be exaggerating here, but my point being that he's very, very strong compared to Mike Tyson. So a 50-something-year-old guy going in against like a guy like Tyson Fury, I wouldn't advise it. Not at this point in time. That would be very, very bad. Him against a 51-year-old, fine. That's okay. But as he refines his tools, and as he does little tweaks to his game, and he adds little tools to his game, um, he's gonna be a formidable force for any heavyweight, actually, anywhere, in terms of skill set and stuff. I don't know. He'll have to work on being able to block punches and take punches. What I mean by take, I don't mean take him on his chin or shit like that. I mean like take punches in terms of he blocked the punch, and he could take that tremendous force that those super heavyweights hit with. So once he's got accustomed to that, where he's got his defense up, but he's getting tougher from the punishment that he's getting. You know, because right now I'm gonna tell y'all this: Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson versus Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz destroys them. Andy Ruiz will destroy the stuffing out of Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield one after the other. Okay, Andy Ruiz is a problem. Okay, so and that should tell you just where the heavyweights today are. They're so much better than the yesteryear guys. Roy would talk about the conditioning of athletes today. That the yesteryear guys had skill. No, these younger cats today have unique skills. I mean, I love Roy. Like I said, I even love Floyd Mayweather. I love all the OGs. Because Floyd's an OG now, right? But these young cats today is on another level to those guys. I'm telling you, man, y'all underestimating these dudes. Yeah, they don't knock out each other in a spectacular fashion as guys of yesteryear because their conditioning is so ridiculous now. It's just so much. The guys take care of their bodies better now. There's a lot of things today that today's fighters do that's just so much more, advanced than yesteryear's fighters. So it's not. I mean, I can't even try to tell you how much. You look at what Joe Joyce did with Daniel Dubois. Everybody was thinking Daniel Dubois would stop Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce, he always continuously gets hit. Does he really? Does he really? Joe Joyce rides punches. He rolls punches. Mike McCallum kind of way. Even when he gets hit with a lead right, when Daniel Dubois hit him with a lead right, he was rocking this way. You know what I'm saying? He rocked with the right. He rocks back, and he's very limber. You know, he rides punches very, very well. So even when you catch him flush, or you think you caught him flush, you're not really cutting. That's kind of like Julio Cesar Chavez used to do that with his head. Canelo do it with his head. Triple G do it with his head, right? Ride punches. So it's just what people don't really realize how much nuance a certain fighter has. Joe Joyce didn't get a silver medal in the Olympics by chance. In fact, he was robbed. Some people say it was a close decision and he should probably have gotten the gold, but he didn't get the gold. He didn't get robbed, but you know that's how good Joe Joyce was. And he's going to be facing Alexander Usyk next, I think. That should be a hell of a fight. I'm looking forward to it. And don't count Joe Joyce out of that fight. Now, Alexander Usyk is an excellent boxer, but from what Joe Joyce should have seen, with the situation with my dude from Africa, who last faced Usyk, Chisora. From what you should have seen with Chisora, he should be very encouraged, and that could be a good fight in which Usyk could lose. You know what I mean? Usyk did beat him in the amateurs a couple of times, but Joe Joyce, man, he a problem, and I just think that Joe Joyce, I know Usyk can get his shots in as well, but Joe Joyce is a problem. He a problem for everybody. You know what I mean? And I really like him. I like Joe Joyce. He's faced a number of very good fighters, and so we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Danny DeBoss stepped up. Stepped up to face Joe Joyce. came up a bit short because Joe Joyce was just peppering that eye, and Daniel Ball wasn't paying attention to that until he couldn't see through it and stuff. So people say he quit. He might have quit, but he quit for a reason. I don't think he quit. I think his eye simply put was a problem. You know what I mean? His eye was a problem, and that was that. All right, peoples. So I'm what you need. I'm gonna get out of here now. But I thought I would talk about Legends Only. I know I talk a little bit too long, but it's all good, man. I'm gonna catch y'all guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.